see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face.
Oh, I'm from Brooklyn.
Hey, guys, any...
This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
What's up, everybody? It's another episode of Coast to Coast. I am your host, Pags, by myself today because everybody had something else happening one way or another. There was a lot of stuff going on today. So I get to do it all by myself, which is okay because I've got a lot to talk about today. I believe that I got the leak of the Philadelphia Eagles schedule in the right, and I did a lot of research. I did all things this morning. I have been running around like crazy trying to make sure that I've got this right, that obviously a lot of leaks come out. There were a couple of different versions of this that I saw. This was the one that I kind of believe is the true one because ultimately, just from the different spots that I saw, it looked like it looks perfect. This is the way that I see it. People were like, "No, this can't be it. This can't be the one." That once there's no Sunday night football game against Dallas, so that's impossible. There's no chance that they're not going to do that. Aha! I went and found out all the reasons why that was. Put it on the calendar because they only gave us the weeks that the games are being played. I'm going to actually give you the days that the games are going to be played. And that's the reason why things are a little bit crazy. So I'm going to start right out of the gate. Obviously, we all know that the Eagles are starting on Friday night in Brazil. Sao Paulo, Brazil. We get the Packers first and foremost. Bam. Starting that right off. We get the Packers first week of the season. It was also leaked, that came out that in week number 2, we go from playing on a Friday night to going to play on a Monday night. And that's right, we get the Atlanta Falcons on Monday Night Football. So we got Packers on Friday Night Football, the first time that the NFL has done a Friday Night Football game. And I think it's like 56 or 7 years, something weirdo like that. Let's face it, they don't play a lot of Friday night games until last year where they were like, hey, we could do Friday night, what is it, Black Friday football. So appreciate that. Bo is having some technical difficulties with his rented space. So, he's playing landlord today. He may show back up. I doubt it. It's going to be a tough day for him, it sounds like. So, and Brazil is considered a home game for Philly. It is a home game that the Packers are the away team in Brazil, just so that we do that. So, in theory, the Eagles start off the season with 2 home games. So ultimately, I'm like, okay, that's 2 home games. Obviously, one's in Brazil, but it is a home game. And like I said, then they come back for Monday Night Football against Kirk Cousins, and we all know how Kirk Cousins likes to do in the limelight. When the bright light is shining on Kirk Cousins, that's when he is at his worst. So, and I can't imagine just because he went from Washington to Minnesota and now Minnesota to Atlanta. I still can't see that changing at all. Week three, we have our first away game, and that is in the Superdome in New Orleans. So I have that on September 23rd. September 23rd, Eagles in New Orleans. Okay, not bad. Week number four, I have the Eagles in Tampa Bay. So that is September 30th. At the end of September, we go back down to Tampa Bay. These games both look like the Saints game is probably going to be a 1 o'clock game, in New Orleans on that Sunday. I would suspect that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game is also going to be a 1 o'clock game. They do not have the time scheduled. Let me check my leak here real fast. I want to show my page. Yeah, both of them are listed as 1 o'clock games. And then we have the bye week in week 5. So that means October 6th or the weekend of October 6th is a bye week for the Eagles. So the Eagles start off 2 home games, 2 away games, bye week. All right. There you go. That's the first quarter of the schedule. End of story. Then we come back. We have a home game against the Browns on October 13th. Also a 1 o'clock game. Interesting. So that's an interesting game there. 1 o'clock schedule. And then that's October 13th. And then here it is. Here it is. My birthday. My birthday, October 20th. We are going up to New York and we play the Giants. And I tell you, I always love playing the Giants as early as possible. I feel that the Eagles season doesn't even really begin until we play the Giants. Last year sucked playing them though so late in the season. I like playing the Giants early. The fact that we are playing them on my birthday is amazing. Philly Sports Guy's birthday party up in New York, up at MetLife Stadium, as we stomp on the Giants logo and we kick their butts up there. So I'm going to be taking busloads of people on my birthday. On my birthday, busloads of people are going up. Yep. I'm going to be 52 by the way, so you can start saving up for your presents right then and there. So anybody who wants to come, who I'm traveling with. It's always Philly sports trips, and we take busloads of people. It's the best way to travel to any of these away games. Anyways, so the following week, we're headed to Cincinnati, and it's October 27th in Cincinnati. I expect that to be a great game as well. That looks to be a 4 o'clock game. The Giants game is looked to be a 1 o'clock game. I tell you, I don't believe that. It's actually got that in parentheses. I suspect that Giants game will be a 4 o'clock game up at MetLife Stadium. I just do not see them having a 1 o'clock game. They usually have 1 o'clock Giants games when they're in Philly, but not when they're in New York. So I suspect that that's going to be a 4 o'clock game on the 20th, on my birthday. So just my thought there. Again, then we have the 27th. We go to Cincinnati, and that's going to be a 4 o'clock game. And then the following week, week 9, is against the Jags. That's November 3rd, and that's looking to be a Sunday night football game. That's when Coach comes back to Philly. The coach that won us the Super Bowl, Doug Peterson, brings his team back into Philadelphia for they were here a couple of years ago, so it wasn't the biggest deal. That was a rainy day mess that happened that time. Hopefully, it'll be a little bit better weather this time around, but it's going to be on Sunday Night Football. Sunday Night Football, November 3rd against the Jags. Now, there's a lot of confusion here because the following week, we're not going to go 2 Sunday Night Football games back to back. So they got the Jags on Sunday Night Football. The following week, we are in Dallas, November 10th, and they have that listed as a 4 o'clock game. So, and you're like, that seems a little odd. They're not going to have a Sunday Night Football game in the middle of the season, Eagles, Cowboys. That could be ridiculous. I'm going to tell you why a little bit later on. Because as we go through this schedule and I started to put actual dates to things, I started to figure some stuff out because I kind of thought the following week, until you put the dates to it, I didn't know. It looked like that. All right, so we got the Cowboys, and we're playing them on Sunday, the 10th. The next week, we have a home game versus Washington, the first time the Commanders will be in town. and that's going to be on a Thursday night football. And that's the 14th. When you look at the schedule and you don't put the dates to it, and I was like, damn, is that a Thanksgiving Day game? Like, are they going to put us as the third game on Thanksgiving? No, they are not putting us as the third game on Thanksgiving. That's not happening. We are the Thursday before Thanksgiving. So the 14th, again, we have Washington at home. Then we go travel for a Sunday night football game in LA. We go face the Rams here on November 24th. So after a 10-day break, we go back and we go play the Rams on Sunday night football. And we love beating the hell out of the Rams all the time. All the time. Every time we've played them recently, I think that we've got like a 4 or 5 game winning streak against them because we just smack them around all over the place. So, anyways, and that's the Rams coming in on, and then the following week, December 1st, and that's all of our long travel. After that, it's all bus trips from here on out because our next away game is against the Ravens on December 1st. But this is a gauntlet. As I'm looking at this schedule from September 23rd to December 1st, we have 7 away games. So out of all the games, there's 1, 2, 3 home games. 7 away and 3 home in 11 weeks because we have the bye week in there as well. So you got the bye, you got the bye week. You can't really count that as a week, but like I said, 7 away games in 11 weeks. That's a big gauntlet right there. That's a tough stretch. I don't care how good or bad these teams are. That's going to be a tough stretch for any team to go ahead and do. So, like I said, we had on December 1st, we got the Ravens. On December 8th, we got the Panthers. And I tell you, that's going to be a 1 o'clock game. And already so far, we have listed here 1, 2, 3, 4 1 o'clock games. That is awesome. Because the Ravens game is not going to be a 1 o'clock game. That's going to definitely be a 4 o'clock game and may also get flexed. They may also get flexed. So, Bo, I'll get to your question there in a minute for week 2. So, yeah, it might be Penix, but I'll talk about that after I get through the entire schedule. So, ultimately, December 8th, we have the Panthers, and that's a 1 o'clock game because there ain't no way that they're going to have the Panthers play at 4 o'clock or 8 o'clock or, they may actually just forfeit that game because the Panthers think that bad. Anyways, the following week, on the 15th, is the Pittsburgh Steelers. The battle for Pennsylvania happening on December 15th. I believe that's going to, and they have that listed as a 4 o'clock game. So it's a 4:25 game. I fully expect that to be a 4 o'clock game. That is actually a good matchup here. Every time the Eagles and Steelers play, it's a good game. Steelers fans like to come across the state to Pittsburgh, from Pittsburgh to Philly. I love it when they come to town. And every time the Steelers come and play here, we spank them around too. So I'm all right with that. The following week, I suspect that it's against Washington, and we are traveling to Washington. And when looking at the dates, I'm saying, okay, you got the 15th on the Steelers. The next date would be the 22nd. It would be on that Sunday. I believe that game is going to be on a Saturday or possibly even a Friday night. So it could be the 20th or the 21st. And the reason why I say that is because the following week, we have at home the Dallas Cowboys. And that's a primetime game. And since we didn't have a Sunday night football game, what day would you put that on? Christmas Day. That's what I'm talking about. We're going to see the Eagles and the Cowboys in Philadelphia on Christmas Day. Wednesday is Christmas Day. So they got to switch the schedule around. It's going to be a little odd. It's going to be awkward because you're going to have Dallas and the Eagles both play on Saturday the week before, because there's no way you're going to be able to have a game on Sunday and then come back and play again on Wednesday. They just cannot do that. They cannot. So I suspect that the Cowboys are going to wind up playing on the Friday or Saturday, and the Eagles are going to wind up playing on the Friday or Saturday before. Because how is it that Netflix wouldn't choose the Eagles versus the Cowboys on Christmas Day? You know, since they're paying ridiculous amounts of money to show this game, and it's going to be like the first game ever on Netflix. Actually, there'll be a second game because I can imagine that's going to be the 8 o'clock game that night, and that you're going to have maybe, from what I heard, the Steelers and the Ravens as the 4 o'clock game that night. That's what I'm talking about. I think that it's going to be Steelers Ravens, and then you're going to have Eagles Cowboys, Cowboys Eagles, because we're going to be at home for that on Christmas Day. On Christmas Day. And then the following week, obviously, I kind of feel that because it's happening on Christmas Day, that it's going to be January 3rd or 4th is going to be the final game against the Giants at home. So when I look at this schedule and I look about it completely, the fact that we have, we bookend this season with 2 home games each. So obviously the first home game being in Brazil, it's a home game. It's not really a home game because we have to travel far ways to get there. And then, of course, then the Monday Night Football game against the Falcons, and then ending the season with the Cowboys and the Giants both at home is great. I like that. I like the fact that 4 of our last 5 games are at home. So in a playoff run, that's going to be a great run to do. A great run. 4 out of 5 games against Panthers, Steelers, Washington. We end with 3 division games. Washington, Dallas, and the Giants. Bam, bam, bam. Division, division, division. So hopefully we'll have, if we don't have the division locked up, we will at that point, get them by those 3 games. But the tough stretch is, from September 23rd to December 1st. And like I said, it starts 2 away games. You got the bye week at that point. You get the week off, home game, 2 away games, home game, away game, home game, 2 away games. So that's a big deal. It's going to be a lot. That's going to be a lot. So I fully suspect that the Eagles, when I look at this schedule, right off the top of my head, I see 12-5. I see a couple of games that they're going to wind up losing in the midst of that stuff. So ultimately, that's what we have here, and that's where we're at. So this is the leak that I saw. I've seen it in other places. It is good to go. I'm seeing here, like I said, Packers, Falcons, Saints, Bucks, bye week, Browns, Giants, Cincinnati, Jags at home, Dallas away, Washington at home, Rams and Ravens away, Panthers, Steelers at home, Washington on a Friday night or a Saturday afternoon game, weirdo game, because Dallas Cowboys on Christmas Day. Am I sure? Am I playing the NFC West this year? We're not playing the NFC West this year. We only have one game against an NFC West team, and that's the Rams. We play the NFC South this year, there, Robert. So we're not playing the West. I don't have a game against Seattle this year. So you'll have to just worry about me showing up there in August when I come out there for the Phillies game. That being said, anybody who's got something to say about this way the schedule comes up, I'm actually trying to get something over here real quick so I can kind of show you what the schedule looks like. I did see on Facebook somebody did have something kind of put out there, but they only had the week dates, not necessarily anything else. So I saw that my buddy Sean did have it up here, so I'm going to download his picture real fast. If I could find it. I know I saw it over here somewhere. Well, if not, here we go. I know how to do this. Make this the easy way because I already have it on my phone. And I'll just download it real fast and we can show you the schedule in total here. Let's get out of here so I can get back over here and see what I'm looking at. But ultimately, like I said, when I see the schedule, I see 12-5. It's there we go. There he is. And where we at? Where we at? All right. And so yeah, there we go. That's where it's at. I knew it was here somewhere. Put it over here, and then I can download it and show it to you guys. Because yeah, everything happens. It's always a pain. Here we go. Bam, bam, bam. There it is. Nice, nice, nice. There's the schedule. As I come over here and kind of share, Green Bay, Falcons, Saints, Buccaneers, Browns. Where's the Browns? Oh, yeah, the Giants. That's the Giants right there. Cincinnati, Jags, Dallas, Washington, Rams, Ravens, Panthers, Steelers, Washington, Dallas, and ending with the Giants. So there we go. That's the schedule right there. I like it. I see 12-5. That's what I see. I see 12-5 right there. So, you know what? And you could see it a lot better. I just think when you're playing so many games on the road in such a small amount of time, it starts to affect you. They wind up having, realistically, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 road games in 7 weeks. And that's where I think they're going to, like, if I'm going to go through the list here, and I'll do what I can't stand doing here. Let's go back here a little bit. Let's go back over here. Bam, and then I'm gonna. There we go. So I can. I'm just trying to get myself in the right spot here. There we go. Because of course it puts it right in the middle here. The Packers in Week 1. I actually have that as a W. I have them winning in Brazil, that we will win the first ever game ever happening in Brazil for Week 1. Not that the Packers are a bad team. It's going to be a great game, but I think the Eagles come out as the winners in that one. So we get the W there. And then we come back home for Monday Night Football. It's going to be absolutely electric that day because obviously they got, the home crowd is getting beat out of one game here for the most part. So they come back and they smoke the Falcons. That's game number 2 win. Against the Saints, I tell you, the Eagles always have a problem playing down in New Orleans. I think that it's really going to be a tough game down there. It gets very loud. It's going to be a great game, and I know that Eagles fans love to travel to New Orleans. It's going to be still warm. I suspect that there's going to be every bit of 15 to 20,000 Eagles fans in New Orleans for this game. I don't think it's going to matter. I think they lose this game. This is a loss for the Eagles, and they wind up 2-1 after 3 weeks. Against the Bucks, I think the Bucks take a step back this year. I know they were in the playoffs last year. I know they beat us in the playoffs. This is going to be a little bit of a revenge game for us. We're going to go down there and we're going to treat them like we treated them in the regular season game last year rather than the home game. I suspect that that's going to be a W, and we are going to go into the bye week going. So, Stephen, I don't get to make these rules. Obviously, the commissioner said, "Hey, we want to be in Brazil," so they put us in Brazil. I mean, that's the way that works. So there you go. Actually, I'm going to go over this side because this side looks a lot better. Anyways. So we go into the bye week and we are 3-1. Come back out of the bye week and we have a home game against the Browns. I got us winning that one. That's a W. On my birthday, October 20th against the Giants, we will spank the Giants. We are going to spank them harder than we've ever spanked anybody else in a long, long, long time. I suspect that game alone, Saquon Barkley scores 3 touchdowns. Just saying. That is going to be an epic win and an epic beatdown of our baby brothers up the turnpike against the Giants on my birthday. On my birthday. Following week against Cincinnati, yeah, we're going to score all those points against the Giants, and I think we're going to come out a little flat against Cincinnati. Joe Burrows, the last time he played us was in Philly, and I watched that game. I was there for that game, and he got sacked 8 times, and he wound up tying us. And I think Joe Burrows, as long as he is healthy, is going to have a great season this year. I would not be surprised to see Cincinnati in the AFC Championship game going up against any one of the teams. It could be, I suspect it would be Kansas City, but it could be Buffalo as well. Who knows? I mean, I don't think Buffalo's got it, but I think Cincinnati has got a really good team, and I think they're going to beat the Eagles in that game. So at that point, we have a 4-2 record going into Sunday Night Football against the Jags. I think that the Jags have a decent team, but they do not have a good team, and we are going to hold serve at home, and we're going to win that game. So I got us 5-2 going into Dallas on that following week, November 10th at Dallas, and I have that as a loss. I think that Dallas is going to be ready for that game. I think it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be close, but I think that Dallas will win that game ultimately, and we will be at that point 5-3. Coming back home for Thursday Night Football, you're the home team on Thursday Night Football. You win. That's typically how that works. So I got us smashing Washington. I don't think Washington's that good. And then going the following week after a 10-day rest for Sunday Night Football in LA, I got that as a W. So now we've got, and it's funny how this is going. It's go 2 wins, a loss, 2 wins, a loss, win, loss, 2 wins. So December 1st against the Ravens, I actually have that as a loss. That Baltimore is a good team. We're going to go down there into their home. Again, I suspect that that's going to be a game that there's going to be a lot of Eagles fans there because it's the first time we're being in that stadium in forever. It's been absolutely like 8 years since we've been to that stadium. So I fully suspect that there's going to be a lot of people that are going down to Baltimore. And Baltimore's got a good team. I just think that Baltimore has our number a little bit, and they're going to wind up winning that game that week. So December 1st, I got as a loss. Panthers, I have as a win. And then I have the Steelers as a win. Washington on that Saturday game, I actually have that as a win. I think if we do get the Cowboys on Christmas Day, there's no chance we lose that game. So I got that as a win. And then we got that final week against the Giants where my expectation is that if it's not for the number 1 seed, then we'll win that game. Otherwise, we're going to rest all our people. We're going to lose that game because I don't think it's going to matter. And that's where we come up with 12-5. So I got us at 12-5, maybe 13-4. Again, if it comes down to that last week where we are still in the running for the number 1 seed, we'll win that game. But other than that, I just don't see it happening. I think that we would just rest our players and get ready. That would be acting as our bye week, and we would get ready for the following week to play and go for our Super Bowl run, because that's where I think this trip ends this year. We end in New Orleans. So there you go. And I have it. There you have it right then and there. That is the way I have the schedule listed. If you guys have any questions for me or whatever, feel free to go ahead and ask them. I'm going to try to answer any questions that we have. Yeah, that revenge game on my birthday. That's because I don't think that he's going to play on the last game of the season. I think that's where I kind of feel like you're going to rest your guys. You're going to make sure there's no injuries. They had a little problem last year where they played their guys the last week of the season against the Giants. Giants came out like hurting, trying to put a hurting on people, and they did. They wound up hurting everybody a little bit, and ultimately, it affected us some. So I fully suspect that he's learned his lesson about that one, and that uh, that last game of the season, unless it's for the number one seed, is going to be a giveaway game. I agree. I think it could be that. I also see I also see Cincinnati going up against us. I think either way, the Eagles do win this. I have if it's I have the Eagles going to the NFC Championship game. I don't like saying that they're going to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? I see the Eagles as really one of the two best teams in the NFC this year. I just don't see who's strong enough to be able to beat them. I feel like Detroit, as good as they are, is still a couple of defensive players away, and that they lost their strong safety is going to be something that actually hurts them. I think San Francisco. I see Brock Purdy actually having his sophomore slump this year. I know he's like it's his third year, so it's not supposed to be a sophomore slump. I just see him taking a small regression back. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I think they're going to still make the playoffs. They're going to win that division. So I'm not talking bad about the 49ers. And I know how many 49ers fans start getting nuts. They're like, oh, you think our sub, we got your number? Get the hell out of here. I think he's going to take a small step back, and because of that, I would see either Detroit possibly getting the number one seed. I mean, the Eagles could get the number one seed. Or the 49ers. I just don't see any other team coming up the ranks that great. I think that the Rams are good enough to make the playoffs, but I tell you, you could say whatever you want about Matthew Stafford. And I know a lot of Detroit fans are big fans of Matthew Stafford. When he won the Super Bowl, it was like Detroit. It was like the Detroit Rams won the Super Bowl. So I can appreciate that. However, I don't think that he was the reason why they won the Super Bowl. I think that Matthew Stafford was part of the reason, but the reason why they won the Super Bowl was their defense. And Joe Burrows played a great game, but he didn't have an offensive line. And when it comes down to it in the last 4 minutes of the game, when you got two guys that are coming on that line and you got nobody to stop them, you just don't have any answers. And it was a great game, but it was the defense that won that game for the Rams. It was not Matthew Stafford. And I think that Matthew Stafford, to be honest, doesn't have what it takes to win that game. If they had Goff, they might have won that game by a lot more. Just my opinion. So I think that Detroit is definitely going to be the better team out of those. And like I says, it's going to be very tough. It's going to be a tough season all the way around. Obviously, we do not see San Francisco this year. It's if we do see them, it's going to be in a playoff scenario. I think that obviously we do see the Rams. I don't think that's going to be a big deal. I think that the Eagles are going to wind up with the number 2 seed. That's what I believe. So that somebody else is going to wind up getting the bye, which is the reason why we are going to wind up giving away that last game against the Giants the last week of the season. So that's what makes me think 12-5. Again, we got to see how the season plays out. There's always a game that seems to get messed up one way or another, but and I tell you, the same thing with the Hawks. I know, Robert, I know you're a big Hawks fan. Obviously, you're from Seattle. I ain't sleeping on them. I just don't think they got it this year. I just don't think they have it this year. If anything, there's a possibility if Dallas is as far off if Dallas does implode this year, and I said Dallas was going to implode last year, I'm not going to talk about Dallas implosion this year. Dallas is going to do whatever Dallas does. I don't care because I think that they become irrelevant once it gets into January. That being said, if Dallas does do the implosion this year that I thought was going to happen last year, that's going to leave the door open because I believe you're going to have two teams that come in from, you're going to have the Lions and the Packers that come in through from the north. If you take away the two teams that I think would come from the east, which would be the Cowboys and the Eagles, I don't think the Giants are strong enough to be able to get into the playoffs. I definitely know Washington's not strong enough to get into the playoffs. That being said, so you take away the Dallas Cowboys, that's the only place I think that the Seahawks could slip in. But with a new coach, most of a new team, I just don't see it happening this year. So I'm not sleeping on them. I just don't think they got enough. So, and that's where so in my world, I have as the number 7 seed, I have the Cowboys. I have the Cowboys coming in at the number 7 seed. I have the Rams in the number 6 seed. I have the Packers in the number 5 seed. So 7 Cowboys, 6 Rams, 5 Packers. So, and I'm going to write this down so that I can actually remember it. So Cowboys 7, Rams 6, Packers 5. The 4th seed. This is going to be a tough one. This is really going to be a tough one. And I believe it's all going to depend on how much that Cousins gets to play this year. If Penix comes out of lighting the world on fire, then there's a chance that Cousins may not play at all. But I don't see that happening. That being said, I actually have the Saints as the number 4 seed, and they're the ones that is going to win the NFC South. 3rd, I have the 49ers. I have the 49ers, and that's where I think that little drop off is going to be a big deal. I don't know how that's going to play out in the playoffs. I think that, like I said, I think that Brock Purdy's just going to have a little bit more of a realistic year this year in comparison to the first 7 games 2 years ago and then his season last year. I think it's just going to be a real thing. I have the Eagles as the number 2 seed. And then I have the Lions in the number 1 seed. And I mean, obviously, if we go into the last week of the season and we can get the number 1 seed, we're going to do so. And then the Lions would fall into the number 2 spot. That being said, obviously, I don't know the Lions schedule yet. I didn't get their leak. I've been spending all morning getting my leaks, let alone the Lions leaks. So, and that's who I have in the NFC side. In the AFC side is going to be more interesting. You know what I mean? I think, and I got to look at the teams because truth of the matter is that I think there's going to be some shakeup in the mix here. I think that you're going to wind up seeing Kansas City as like the number 3 seed. Kansas City is going to be the number 3. I'm just writing them down here so that I can. The division winners, I have, and the number 4th division is going to be a surprise this year, and it's going to come from the East. I think the AFC East is going to have a surprise winner, and they're going to be they're going to all be in the mix of like 10-7. And I have it as the Miami Dolphins winning the division over there. So they're going to be the number 4 seed. Kansas City is going to be the number 3 seed. The number 2 seed is going to be Houston. And then I have the number 1 seed being Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati actually comes up real big this year, and they actually have a really great season. That means they got to beat out the Ravens, and that Ravens are going to put the Ravens in the number 5 spot. The Ravens are going to just miss out on winning the division. And they're going to miss out on winning the division because they're going to lose bad games against the Steelers. That's what's going to happen. That's the reason why. Because I think they split with Cincinnati, and I think they lose against the Steelers. And then I think they also split. They're going to have a bad divisional record, I think. I don't think it's going to be as good as they need it to be. And they're going to be good against everybody else, but in the division is where they're going to get beat up some. So I have the Ravens in the number 5 spot. The 6th and the 7th spot are really kind of open to me. I just, are the Chargers going to come back and be good enough? I kind of feel that they would be that team. I also, then you start thinking the Jets and Buffalo, and that there's a piece of me that believes that if 3 of those 4 teams in that division are 10-7, with maybe Miami being 11-6. You know what I mean? Like, that's how they get ahead of everybody else. But I think that you're going to see Buffalo being 10-7, the Jets being 10-7. I think that it's possible that you could have 3 teams coming from the East. It could also just be 2 teams. I think it's going to be tough for the Chargers to get in beyond that, but I actually have the Chargers as the 7th seed, and then I have Buffalo as the 6th seed is what I have. So the LA Chargers and then the Buffalo Bills. So it's going to go 7 Chargers, 6 Buffalo, 5 Ravens, 4 Miami, 3 Kansas City, 2 Houston, 1 Cincinnati. Do I have the Ravens losing week 1 against Kansas City? Yes, I do have them losing that first week. I firmly believe, I'll be honest, I firmly believe that he's got a hard time playing against Patrick Mahomes. Lamar Jackson's just got a hard time playing against Patrick Mahomes. And that's going to be a tough one. So I think starting out in week 1 for that to occur is going to be hard. And then after that, he's going to, like I said, I think he's going to have problems in the division. And that's going to be the tough one because he always has problems in the division. So do I believe in Rodgers? I don't believe Rodgers is good enough. Rodgers is good enough to win them 3 games. And that's in comparison to last year. They were 7-10 last year. They'll be 10-7 this year. I think that the difference is 3 games. I don't know that that's going to be enough to make it. They could win 10 games and not make the playoffs. That Chargers could be the Jets. And it could be that Buffalo takes a step back, like a big step back. And if that's the case, then I have the Chargers in the 6th seed and the Jets in the 7th seed. So it's anything is possible in that regard. But, and then ultimately, as I go further down in the playoffs, you got the Eagles versus the Cowboys in the wild card week. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. After stomping them on Christmas, we stomp them out of the playoffs in the wild card game. That would be awesome. The 49ers would wind up playing the Rams, which also sounds like a great game, actually. Wouldn't be surprised to see the Rams win that game. So, and this is just pie in the sky thought process. I mean, obviously, this is going by if everything happens the way I say it's going to happen. You got Eagles, Cowboys, Eagles win. 49ers, Rams with the upset on that one. Saints, Packers win. So then you got the Packers with, so hold on. Then it would be Lions, Eagles, Packers, Rams. That means the Eagles and the Packers are going to be playing a playoff game. And the last time they met in the playoffs, I believe it was 4th and 26. I'm almost positive that was the last time they met each other in the playoffs. And, I don't know if they remember that from back then. But neither here nor there. Then it would be, I think the Eagles would win that game against the Packers. And then the Lions would beat the Rams, but what a story that would be. The Lions and the Rams playing each other to go to the NFC Championship game. And then I have the Lions winning that game. However, would not be a surprise if they got upset. That the Lions lose to the Rams that game. So, but I actually have the Lions winning that game. Eagles go up to the Lions for the NFC Championship game for the chance to go to the Super Bowl. I like that. I like those odds. On the other side, you got Houston versus the Chargers. The Houston wins. Kansas City versus Buffalo. And that's a great storyline too. That's just a great storyline. Kansas City versus Buffalo again in the playoffs. He's knocking them out of the playoffs. I hope it goes to overtime that game. Because that would be so apropos for that. And Buffalo loses again in overtime to get out of the playoffs. And then the Ravens beat Miami. So then you would have Cincinnati, Houston, Kansas City, and the Ravens. Cincinnati going up against the Ravens. Said Baltimore going into Cincinnati, I think that would be a tough place to play. I think Cincinnati wins that game. And then Houston and Kansas City. This is one of those games. This is going to be a coming of age game, or it's going to be, that the mystique is too much. But it's going to be way interesting. That would be an interesting divisional game. Houston versus Kansas City in that divisional game. Now, it sounds like I may have gotten the script from the NFL, and I tell you, I have it right here. So I have read the script. It all sounds really good. It sounds better when I tell the story, though. So, the Kansas City-Houston game, I actually have Kansas City winning that game. They win that game. That the Houston Texans have made some big jumps, but I don't know. And we got a surprise visit from the landlord himself.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, man. Definitely not the day I thought I had in store for me yesterday. But here we are.
Adulting is hard sometimes.
Yeah, it's that bullshit. Like, it's the biggest lie anyone ever told you. Like, as a kid, you're like, oh, it's fun, it's partying, you can buy alcohol, it's all good times. And then you turn 18, they're like, just kidding. It's anxiety, work, and back problems.
Right. Exactly. But so, I mean, obviously, I'm sure you've been listening to everything that I've been saying. And
I've been in and out because I've been loading the tools in the truck and stuff. So kind of been in and out.
Is it fixed? Is the problem resolved?
Oh, I'm on my way there.
Oh, okay. I thought. Oh, that's right. It's way early over there. I keep.
Yeah.
And it's that you were there at 5 o'clock in the morning fixing stuff.
Yeah, my tenant would not love that. They're not exactly morning people to begin with, so they didn't want me there that early. But I had to get everything in the truck and all of that. So now I got to go up, see what's wrong, see if I have to replace the fridge or if I can fix it. But the refrigerator
on the scene.
That's right. Well, because refrigerators and heating are the two items that you have to kind of do within a 24-hour window, right? People got to be able to eat, and you can't leave them without heat. So. Yeah. So there's that.
So seeing that, obviously, I've been doing most of the show by myself today. Have there been any leaks with the Seattle schedule as of yet that you saw?
So not yet. And oddly enough, for some reason, the Seahawks tend to be pretty close to the vest with it every year. They're generally one of the last ones, if they get leaked at all, to get leaked. Not that it matters, because we're going to know in about 8 hours anyway. But so
I mean, obviously,
I know you guys had a pretty solid leak. There was a couple different versions of it, but you guys had a pretty solid leak. I think KC had one, and the Cowboys. I think those were the ones that had, if not all, but a lot of the season leaked.
Well, I mean, obviously I knew of a couple of games, and
Sure.
obviously they showed only the weeks that we were playing. I actually had to put the dates to them. And the moment I put the dates to them, because I kept seeing that everybody in Philadelphia said this can't be a real schedule, because the Eagles and the Cowboys play every year on Sunday Night Football. It is as guaranteed as could be. And then I started to put everything to the dates. And the reason why there's no Sunday Night Football is because I see it on Christmas. I see them playing each other on Christmas Day. And I think that would supersede Christmas. That Christmas would supersede Sunday Night Football. Just my opinion.
For sure.
I mean, now
I could see that.
They could still switch to November 10th is still like week 10. They would be able to flex that game if they wanted to, to Sunday or Monday Night Football.
I mean, do you think the Cowboys are? You think the Cowboys are going to be good enough to even warrant flexing that?
I think in the beginning of the season the Cowboys are. I think they're going to stay afloat enough.
Yeah, but by week 10.
Well, I actually have them beating the Eagles in that game. When I did my schedule here, when I did my schedule, trying to be as realistic as possible, I have the Eagles going 12-5 or possibly 13-4, being that last game could be a giveaway game if we're not going for the number 1 seed. And then us losing to Dallas on November 10th and beating them on Christmas.
Well, I mean, that would track with the way Dallas plays football, because November will be their last meaningful win, and then December they pack it in for the year. Right. As far as the win column's concerned, really, soon as Thanksgiving is gone, their interest in actually playing football anymore is out the window.
Well, and that was the other interesting thing that I thought, because the Eagles are playing on Thursday Night Football, right after the Dallas game against Washington. And again, when you're just looking at, hey, this is that week, you're starting to count them like, is that Thanksgiving? Are we the third game on Thanksgiving? We're not the third game on Thanksgiving. We wind up playing, we're playing the Thursday night beforehand, before Thanksgiving.
It's funny though, because if it's anything like last year, the teams that played on Thanksgiving played the following Thursday game, which was kind of crazy.
Not all of them. There was
3 of the 4.
Right. And then they they normally play the week after. The Cowboys play the week after all the time. So I suspect that there's going to be something like that. But the other thing I have is then that following week, that Thanksgiving week, we play Sunday Night Football against the Rams. So.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So yeah, I mean that. So and I have both those games, that Thursday night game and the Rams game, as wins, because we always spank the Rams. Doesn't matter where we are. So, which brought me to my way too early predictions for the playoffs.
Okay.
All
right.
And I have here's who I have. And with the one caveat being, because of course Robert jumped in and saying, "Hey, don't be sleeping on the Hawks," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sleeping on your Hawks." So, but
I think they can be a wild card team.
Well, I would have it as, if the Cowboys, I have it listed in the number 7 seed, I have the Cowboys. If the Cowboys do plummet enough, the Seattle would take that spot. But that
so you have them a bubble team.
Right. I also see the Rams making the playoffs in the 6th seed. So that would mean 3 teams are coming from the West. Not impossible.
I mean, it's happened before.
Right. Yeah, it's not impossible, but it's not likely either. I mean, 3 teams have come from the East, as recent as a couple years ago. So,
Well, and 3 teams have come from the West. The first, I think, is the first year of the playoff expansion.
did they?
Yeah, because we were actually looking at potentially having all 4 teams go.
Yeah, we were doing that same thing, and that was the first time there was the playoff expansion, where
Yeah.
the East actually, at one point, every East team in the AFC and the NFC in that season actually had it, because the first time that we went to 7 games was in 2022. So unless it was last year where all the teams could have possibly made it, which is likely they could have done that, but you guys wind up getting knocked out. Last year was more likely that, because Arizona's been stinking.
Yeah, I
2022,
thought I thought 21 was the first year,
nope,
because I thought we
21
had.
first year 17 games, still 6 teams. Or maybe it was 17. Maybe it was 17. I don't know. That was the year that the NFC East had a division winner with 7 games, I thought.
Oh, gotcha.
That was like the COVID yearish thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I mean, I was going to say, like, the first year of that expansion, I remember because Kyler was actually having a good year, and then they fell apart at the end. But, as we were, I think, week 10, it looked like all 4 teams from the West were going to be in. And then Arizona decided, after week 10, they were just not going to play football anymore, and they missed out. But
well, they
but
made
going
the
into
playoffs
that,
and then lost, didn't they? Didn't they make
No,
the playoffs?
no.
They were 10-1 and made the playoffs and then got beat.
Oh, was it the Rams that missed? I
Might have been.
forget which team missed. I know the Hawks ended up making it in, but it was either the Rams or the Cardinals.
No, the
But
49ers missed because the Rams won the Super Bowl that year.
Oh, did the Niners? Wow. Yeah, I guess I don't remember. It's but I remember most of the way through the season there was a chance that all 4 were going to make it. Yeah, I'll have to go back and look because
Or
now I
was
guess
that
I
the
don't
Brady
remember.
year? Was that the Brady year? Yeah, he won after the Brady year. So 20, 21 was the Rams.
If somebody's watching, if you could help us out, because it turns out we're dumb.
Or like I just don't have the ability to search while I'm doing so many other things here. So
Exactly. Well, and normally I can too, but I think
driving
Washington State Patrol would be super mad about it.
Exactly. But so I have the Cowboys in the number 7 seed, the Rams in the 6 seed, the Packers in the 5 seed.
Okay.
My first surprise would be the Saints winning the division and taking the 4th seed.
Okay. I mean, the thing is the Saints should be so much better than they're playing. So, like, I don't hate that pick. I had the Saints winning their division last year. They just couldn't figure out how to actually make the talent play together. But the roster's talented enough to win.
Correct.
Not a Super Bowl, but the division.
Agreed. I have the 49ers winning the division over there, so they get the 3 seed. The Eagles with the 2 seed and the Lions with the 1 seed.
Okay. All right.
Thinking that, could the Seahawks fall into that 7 spot? Possibly. The only other team that I think of that could possibly fall into that 7 spot would be Chicago, on the weird chance that he's as good as they think he is.
And somehow that offensive line starts playing together.
Well, that Caleb Williams actually goes better than the offensive line.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
so you're just conceding offensive line sucks, and he's just such a good talent. He can overcome a bad offensive line.
That I am so far wrong on the fact that I think that he's going to stink, that he's that good that they actually wind up in the 7th spot. So I don't think that occurs. I don't think that occurs, to be honest. But then on the other side, I have on the 7th spot the Chargers. Could be the Jets. Chargers, Jets.
Yeah.
But I would say I got my 6th seed being Buffalo That could
Okay.
also be the Jets. So I actually
Sure.
have those three teams are interchangeable a little bit. You know, the Jets, Buffalo, and Chargers all the same. Number 5 seed is the Ravens. They
Okay.
get the 5th seed. 4th seed being Miami. Miami wins
Mhm.
that division. Kansas City gets the 3rd seed. Houston gets the 2nd seed. And then Cincinnati tops the list.
You think so? Yeah. I mean, you think Burrow makes it through a year?
Yep.
Because he hasn't shown that he can be the most durable guy.
Yeah.
Although
well,
he was
did-
injured last year, so this could be his year.
Right. He was injured first year, played the whole year second year. Injured last year, he plays the whole year this year, I think. So, and I think
Okay.
that when he's playing, you can't bet against him.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
So,
I still don't love their defense, though.
Yeah, and as the way I have this right here, and I was just throwing the names out there and what I have. All right, so in the 21 season, the West, the Rams were 12-5, Cardinals were 11-6. I guess was Seattle 10-7. Oh no, Seattle must have stunk. The 49ers were 10-7, and they were the 6th seed.
Okay.
So the Rams won the division. The Cardinals wound up in the number 5 seed. 49ers were in the 6th seed. Was there a 7th seed, Robert? That Robert's doing all of that. So
Perfect. We got cops with customers coming up.
Cops with customers. So look like you're actually not talking to me on the phone and doing whatever.
It's okay. I have a headset in. That's perfectly legal here, and so as
Right.
long as you're not using your hands, you're fine. Or like messing with the screen or whatever. So
Awesome. We don't want you to get pulled over. So
no, I'm doing everything to still be covered by my insurance.
nice.
So not looking at my screen, I'm watching the road, checking my mirrors, doing all that. You know, I guess 10-2. Is this what we're doing?
Something like that.
Yeah, not so
12-6 is also good.
Exactly.
So in the NFC, with the way I have this set up, the playoff, the wild card round would go as such: Eagles versus Cowboys, and the wild card round. The 49ers versus the Rams in the wild card round, and then the Saints and the Packers. I like, and then I like the Eagles, the Packers, and the Rams to win those games. If that happens, the following week, you'd have the Lions versus the Rams and the Eagles versus the Packers.
I mean, the NFL would love to have Lions-Rams rematch.
Yes, especially to go to the NFC Championship game.
Exactly.
And the Eagles versus Packers, also a great game. It's like, hey, Brazil all over again.
Absolutely, yeah, because then they'd absolutely hype up this was the championship game preview, whatever.
Yeah, this is the divisional round, and this is how they played each other in Brazil. This is what happens now.
Exactly. Yep.
And then
I mean, if it is scripted, that is definitely a script they'd like.
And then to end with there we go. You poofed for a second.
Oh, I will. I'm going to be driving through a spot where the signal is horrendous.
Okay. And then I think it's Eagles-Lions in the NFC Championship game. So that's going to be a good NFC Championship. On the other side, interestingly enough, you have Houston versus the Chargers. There's no storyline there. You know what I mean? Buffalo, Kansas City, good storyline there. Hope that game goes to overtime and Kansas City wins. So, in that playoff game.
All right.
And then the Ravens
beat
Miami.
So the Houston and Chargers one, the storyline there will be that neither of them have done it, right? So there will be a lot of this is going to be to punch their ticket to the championship game, and all of that. There's going to be a lot of
their ticket to go to the next round. This is all. That's just the regular wild card.
Oh, that was wild. Oh, that was wild card. I was thinking divisional. I was like, oh, if that's divisional, then there would be a lot of hype, because it'd be like, oh, one of these two teams likely to go to a Super Bowl. For the Texans, it'd be the first time in franchise history, and of course the Chargers. They've never gone to a Super Bowl, but they did win a championship before the Super Bowl era, right?
Maybe, but who really cares about that? They don't even have a stadium.
Exactly.
So, then for the second round of playoffs, you would have Cincinnati versus the Ravens. In Cincinnati.
I like that.
And then Houston versus Kansas City.
I like that.
Yeah, I think
that would be a fun game to watch.
That's either the passing of the torch kind of, or the mystique of Kansas City. That's what I see. I think that either way, that's actually a great game to go to the AFC Championship game. And actually, I have Kansas City and Cincinnati winning both of those, and then that would be a rematch of the AFC Championship game from a couple years ago.
Okay.
So I like that, and I haven't gone who's going to win those games yet.
I was going to say, do you have you got KC three-peating? Because I don't.
No. In fact, I have the Eagles versus the Bengals in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And I have the Eagles winning that game. So
yeah, well, and that would make sense, because the one thing that the Bengals still don't really have is a competent defense. It's okay.
Really
it's okay.
Offensive line.
Exactly.
I think the offensive line would be what hurts them. So, but it'll be interesting, because ultimately the Eagles, would be they play Cincinnati this year. So, and I have that game as a loss during our season.
If you're going to choose one to lose, that's the one to lose, right? It's a regular season.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, but I have that. Yeah, because like I said, I have the Eagles at 12-5 or 13-4. If by chance we have a chance to win that last game and get the number 1 seed, we're going to. And I think we will do that. But ultimately, I also believe that that we're not going to win it. We're going to get the number 2 seed. Is kind of what I think, and that we lose that last game. Not lose it, but it's just we don't play our guys because we're going to bye week, because they learned from last year going up against the Giants.
Yeah.
There was a 7th seed that year, and it was Philly. Okay.
Oh, okay.
How about that?
Oh, so the Hawks were the ones that came up short in sending them all.
So that would have been, if we were the 7th seed, that was us going up against Brady. And Brady won the Super Bowl that year in 21.
Okay, so I guess it was the Hawks that came up short on sending all 4. It makes sense that I blocked that out.
Yeah. So, anyways, but yeah, that's that. So ultimately, we'll see how well we do when you guys actually get to see, what your schedule looks like. We'll do the same thing for you, and maybe Stat Guy and Jay as well when they get back and they get their schedules all figured out and such. It's
they come out at 7 p.m. Eastern, right?
8 p.m. Eastern.
8 p.m. Eastern? Okay.
So 5 o'clock your time.
Yep. No, that's cool. Because then, we should be able to really kind of dissect how our seasons should all go. Or at least you and I can.
Exactly.
Tough to say if they're gonna be here, but.
Well, I know that, Jay is being very realistic about Dallas this year. So I think that he is probably agree with where I have them kind of slated. And then Stat guy, I don't know. Like he's a Bears fan, right? That's what he's doing. He's a Bears
No,
fan.
Viking. He's a Viking fan.
Vikings. So he already knows his team's going to stink.
Yeah, well, especially because he wasn't excited about JJ McCarthy being there anyway. So if that's the case, he can't be super stoked about his quarterback room.
Robert, it's not a leak when you know what teams you're playing. And we've known what teams you were playing at the end of the season last year. So it's not a leak.
Yeah.
That's not a leak.
No, you know exactly who you're playing. It's just you don't know when you're playing them. And that's where things can change a lot, right? Because if you're playing against a team that has a lot of rookies, you're going to have an easier chance beating them early in the season than you are later in the season as they get more reps together, especially since you're not allowed to do any live hitting during preseason play anymore. You see a lot more sloppy play. If you got rookies out there, it's going to be worse than just your average team. But if you play them later in the year, that could be a harder win.
Right. That all being said, that's not schedule leaks. That just tells me who you're playing, and I already knew who you guys were playing. So that's okay, Robert. Stick to not knowing anything about baseball. Yeah. And by the way, how did the Mariners do yesterday?
They lost yesterday, but they won the day before. So if they win today, they still win another series, which, I'll take that.
Hey, you got to keep winning the series. You're 23-20.
Yep.
Hey, so that's only 7 games out below us. 7 games, Robert.
Well, and we traded away some of our bullpen, so we'll see. We'll see.
Well, and but here's one thing. Here's something, and not to transition to baseball, since football really rules the world today. The Phillies have the most games where a pitcher has gone past 7 innings. And I believe now that is 12 games. 12 games. Second on that list, the Seattle Mariners, where they have had starting pitchers going at least 7 innings. At that time, it was 8. So, and they were the only team with 8. So, interesting.
I mean, personally, I like it. I'm not a huge fan of throwing guys on pitch counts, and as soon as you hit 100 pitches, you're leaving the game, even if you're dominating. Like, I'm not a fan of how that's kind of become a thing in baseball, but it's become a thing. So, I mean, that being said, I like the fact that the Mariners aren't taking that approach.
Okay. Well, I tell you, as things are happening, man, wow, I'm getting a whole bunch of different. Wow, I'm getting a lot of things here. A lot of people asking me to do stuff, so time to start making some money here. Let's make it happen. Jeez.
Yeah, that's why I ended up cutting the show short yesterday. I mean, obviously, I was monologuing for the second part of the show anyway, but I ended up with a text that was like, if you want to make some money, you got to come now. And I'm like, well, I feel like I can come now.
So, and I just got a text from Jay. I don't know that he's listening or not, but Jay, if you're going to be home waiting for deliveries to come to
why aren't you on screen?
Exactly. If you're going to be home anyways, you could definitely go there. And when the doorbell rings, excuse me, guys, I got to go get something.
Exactly. I wasn't going to call him out, but since you are, I was just like, that was the weakest excuse, period.
Yeah.
like stat guy, I get it. He's at work. Sometimes meetings have to happen. That's just part of it. Or like in my case,
his excuse today about taking mom out for a late Mother's Day lunch.
Is that
wishy-washy on that one?
Is that what it was? I thought he had a work meeting.
No, he didn't have a work meeting. He had I'm taking out my mommy, is what he said.
Oh,
And
gotcha.
I love it when a grown man uses the word mommy.
That's awesome.
I mean, I was like, I'm like, that's a little wishy-washy. But waiting for deliveries at home, no. You can
Yeah,
wait for deliveries at home while
where your
you're on the
studio is.
podcast. Yeah, exactly. We can hear it. When they ring the doorbell sounds in the entire house. We get it. You know what I mean? I understand. So,
Yep.
it sounds like you're ready to get off because you have
Yep, I just pulled into the driveway, so now I got to go figure out why the one appliance I hadn't replaced decided today was that day.
well, the best of luck. I hope you just hit it with a screwdriver, dink, 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 and all of a sudden it starts working again. Maybe
That
you
would be
need to
rad.
throw some Freon into the condenser and it work okay. I know nothing about refrigerators, so good luck.
On the plus side, I am a licensed to repair refrigerant in anything: cars, appliances, houses. So that's why I'm here instead of just buying one.
Well, good luck. I wish you all of the best and enjoy the schedule release. We'll talk about your schedule release tomorrow when you're back on.
You know it.
All right.
Have a great rest of the show, man.
All right. Thank you. All right. And I am back by myself again for just a few minutes longer because I tell you, I'm starting to get, I must be, somebody must like me. I must be getting popular or something. I doubt it, but I am wearing Eagles gear. So, anyways, so that's what I've got going on today. Obviously, I am going to cut this short because it's obviously when you're talking by yourself for an hour, it's most times people don't want to hear what you got to say after a little bit. I appreciate the fact that you guys hung with me this long, actually, but I am really excited. I think that I have it all figured out. If they wind up having the Eagles Cowboys on Christmas, you heard it here first. I was the one that said it first because nobody else said that shit. It was just me. I said Eagles Cowboys Christmas Day. That's why there's no Sunday night football. Just saying. You guys have a great day, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one. Enjoy the schedule release day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care.